All righty. We are in it. We are live ski. Let me go ahead and get this out to people who are curious. Oop, I gotta mute my mic already. Oh, golly. That was rough. Let me get tweets out. Give me a sec. That's the one. Control C. Yeah, I gotta put this on Discord too. Discord is installing everything under the sun. So hi everybody. How are we doing? Hopefully we're doing well. Post that. Okay. So Twitter's done. Now we gotta make sure Discord's gonna have everything on it. Waiting on Discord. What a surprise. All right, we'll go ahead and do this here. Share content. Fab. Boom. Then we've got to do one more. No, that's it. You know what? No. No. We could post in here too, but no. Nope, we are good to go. Let me do this here. Oops. Boom. All right, everybody's got it now. Everybody's all set up and ready. How are we all? How's everybody doing today? Now that I've got my life in order, time for a wonderful cup of coffee. To start the day, I always gotta have something, right? My hair is gonna look like it's in shambles today, but I promise you it's not too bad. Just the way my hair looks today. So today we're going to go over a little bit of a discussion in regards to social play in Flesh and Blood. On top of talking about, what do you call it? On top of talking about bulk builds. So as you can see, I have a lot of bulk right here. What you don't see is the, what is it? Is that really? Of the 11 boxes of bulk that I have at my feet right now. The 11 boxes of bulk I have at my feet are all donated to me by somebody at my locals, who, you know, wants to help spread the love of the game and wants to do it in a way that is very, very helpful to the community. And so he decided to hand over all of his bulk to me, and I am doing the LGS a favor by getting everything all set up and making decks for each hero in heavy hitters. So, like, for instance, I have a whole Rhinar one here. You can It comes with, I'm changing up the decks a little bit as time goes on, so I might have to go back and check these out. I only made like 2 to 3 decks per hero so far, outside of the Guardians. I don't think I've made Guardian decks yet. But those guys are going to be kind of a great way for them. People just hand these out to players, or, you know, if they're curious about a game, that they can just go ahead and shove them out to people. Because I know there's a lot of people who are looking to play. A lot of people who are looking to get into the game at a very, very easy cost. And while, to be fair, the Blitz decks are really, really good for heavy hitters, I do think they miss out on some small things. And so that's kind of where my changes come in, right? So let me see here. I wanted to take a look real quick at a couple things here. Let's take a look at that, and then let's take a look at, just look up. This, I think that's it. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So, first, I wanted to talk about something real quick that I feel like has almost missed its mark a little bit. I understand why they're doing it, but it is also very it's very different. So, for the longest time, I had thought that social play events were able to be any format that was like that wasn't CC or Blitz. What's up, Savannah? Thank you so much. I hope the Netherlands is doing fantastic, right? Hopefully you're doing fantastic. It's always a pleasure to see you popping around. How are things? How's life? Hopefully you've been very well. I haven't popped into the MTG creators in a little while. How are they all doing? Hopefully they're doing good. I know DJ's still doing a whole bunch of stuff, and Dual Brain just came out with a new video I wanted to check out too. Yes, happy Chinese New Year is officially, Year of the Dragon, which is amazing because that's, you guys know I like dragons. Dragons are awesome. It's not my Chinese zodiac, unfortunately, but I do identify pretty well with it. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I mean, I'm I haven't really just caught up with anybody, so haven't gotten around to checking it out. Yeah. But well, hopefully at least things are great in your end, You're doing stuff, you're hanging out. I know it's always so fun if I ever pop into a small creator's channel and your name is mentioned, and I'm like, man, how is Savannah finding all these people? How are you just there all the time? You've got an eye for good content. So Fab is still hot and happening. That is the case, Savannah. Fab is still hot and happening. It's continuing to grow every single day. I don't know if you probably haven't, but there was recently a news interview in New Zealand for Flesh and Blood. James White, the creator of Flesh and Blood, went on for an interview talking about Flesh and Blood and its success and how it's one of the fastest growing New Zealand businesses to be made in these past few years. And I mean, they were making the amount of people were doing. I mean, gosh, they just got a new studio, and I think they made like like upwards of like 6,400% profit in just these past couple of years. So very good. Could play an LGS or spell table. Well, theoretically, Savannah, you can do it on both. There is a online client for Flesh and Blood, but it's not officially by Flesh and Blood. It is called talishar.net. That is kind of a way you can play. Normally, what you'll do is you'll go to this site here, fabrary.net. You can make a deck here, and then you can go ahead and go to Talishar. And in Talishar, you can upload your deck link, and you can play in games online here. That's where most people tend to play their games online, but you can play it in your LGS or through Spell Table. I haven't actually tried Spell Table for it yet, but if I did more like, because I know Spell Table is specifically for Magic. I mean, like it's Magic run. It's run by the people at Wizards, if I recall. So I know there's a lot more integration for that game than there is Fab, but I believe Spell Table can still be used for anything because it's just a 4-camera setup. So who knows, right? I might want to try it out if UPF ever becomes a thing I want to start covering, which we are going to talk about. So oh, there you go. Zealand. Well, I did not know that. Well, you know what, Savannah? In a way, you still rule the ocean. Just think about it. Just think about it. Everybody gets a little bit of the ocean. At least there's nothing wrong with sharing the ocean. I'm not sure on the history of the Netherlands, but I'm sure everybody at least is down to try that out. So, actually, believe it or not, Savannah, if you want, God, I don't know what shipping is like, honestly. I'm sure shipping is probably awful from here to the States to the Netherlands. But what we're actually going to be talking about today is I do have I've made these like, oh, well, that's cool. I wish it didn't look like that though. But I'm making these like decks out of bulk for people to try and if they want to play. So if you want, I can send you a deck if you wanted to try it out and check it out and see. I'm going to change the way this is set up because even though I don't like having like a block here, I don't want it to look like that. Maybe. Yeah, sample pack from the chat. Oh, did you really? Look at that. Well, sick. That's awesome. That is awesome. I am happy to hear. I know I'll have to figure this whole thing out later. That's fine. You can just we'll deal with this little screen over here for you guys once I fiddle with that a little bit more. But that's good. That's good you got a sample deck. What hero did you end up picking up, or was it like an Ira starter deck? Cardboard guide from Denmark. Oh, okay. It's probably a lot easier for them to get you a deck than me, because let me tell you, I am. It would cost me an arm and a leg probably to ship out these 60 cards to you. So, but yeah, honestly, I mean, Flesh and Blood is continuing to grow day in, day out. It is significantly more competitive players than it is like casual social players, which is fine. I think we're now reaching a point where markets are starting to settle and cards are starting to not be absolutely insane to get into the game. I say that though, but I think CNC is still like $70, which is crazy. But I got mine in German, so it doesn't matter. Most expensive comedy? Yeah, no kidding. Right, playtime? I'm telling you, no kidding. It would be super expensive. Luckily, though, I did make these for Clash and not Commoner. So, you know, it's still still gonna cost a lot. That's the thing I'm so sad about here living in the States is the freaking taxes we have to pay to get things out to other countries. Because like my goodness, I wish I could just be like, yeah, are you in South Africa and you don't have access to Flesh and Blood? I'm gonna send you 6 decks right now, all made and ready to play against one another. Like, do that. So I rule on you too. No worries, Savannah. No worries. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming by. Always a pleasure chit-chatting with you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And, feel free to stick around if you still want to just chit-chat fab, see what the game is like. But Playtime, how are you doing? It's a pleasure. Commoner over Clash, although I understand the appeal of each. That's fair. That's fair. I'm actually curious. What is it about Commoner that you like more than Clash? Or no? Clash? Yeah. Right? Okay, don't call me out on this, but like the greater than less than is always silly to me. I can't remember the thing they taught you where it was like the one that's eaten is greater, or the one that is eating is greater. Man, I love being stupid online, like actively stupid on the internet. I could just fake it, but then you guys wouldn't know anything about me. So I'm doing good though. I'm doing good. Clash is very unbalanced. One hero gets a Fable, for goodness sake. It does get a Fable, but it's not good in the deck. And I think that's something that is to be said about it. And for the record, it's a discussion. Well, I want you to have valid opinions and me have valid opinions. And okay, that's what I thought. The one being eaten is always the greater. Stupid. Because I always thought, I remember thinking it was always the stupidest thing they were teaching me. They were just like, oh, it's an alligator mouth. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, the alligator mouth. So like the alligator eating something, like that means that the alligator won and is therefore greater, right? And they're like, no, the thing the alligator is eating is bigger than it. And I'm like, oh, what? The American education system is just a great time. But yeah, no, Clash, honestly, I don't think Clash is very unbalanced. I'd say if there's anything unbalanced about Clash, it's that Icelander gets to use Frost Hex Ice Eternal combos. Like, that's kind of nuts. But for the most part, it's really just to like help bring other classes that don't get anything in Commoner to a higher level. Because as of right now, there's not a whole lot. Exactly there. Runeblade really needs a lot of stuff to even be like slightly okay in Commoner. I mean, you don't really get much. I mean, Viserai is unplayable in Commoner. And Vincent is also unplayable in Commoner. So Clash is also a very complicated rule set. Well, as somebody who's on the Clash committee, I'd be more than happy to explain anything that might seem complicated. I'm always here to help promote the format and talk about it a little bit. We are doing our Clash League currently, which I need to figure my whole life out and actually get in on that, because the fact I haven't done a match yet and it's been 10 days since it started, I feel really, really stupid. But But to be fair, I do like Commoner and Clash both. And I feel like you need to know one to also really appreciate the other. You know, I used to play a lot of Commoner. You may know, I mean, I made several Commoner videos back in the day, and I still want to make Commoner videos. I still want to cover Commoner content. But I do also really like how Clash just kind of like brings home the mechanics of a hero, you know, with freaking you know, Rune Blades being able to use things like Mauvrin Skies, and like the only thing we really did that made Rune Blades like, okay, now Rune Blades aren't like super hyper OP is we, you know, in Commoner, Tane can use Rosetta Thorn. In Clash, Briar is the only one who is able to use Rosetta Thorn, and nobody else. We made it a specialization for Briar because that's just what it was. So just started building for Clash. Hell yeah. There you go. There you go, Armpit. Good to see you here, my man. Arachne Solitary Confinement is a sick choice for Clash. And KO 1.0 might even be very fun too. Now with like his new specialization could be fun. I've not tried new KO in Clash, or I haven't tried old KO in Clash yet. And I built something that's kind of like new KO, but it's all out of bulk. So I want to do, okay, Tomas. No, I can't do one right now. I'm not like, I would like to next week, but I have to buy cards because I don't know. You signed up for the Clash Bash, obviously. Do you have like a camera setup for your stuff, or are you going to be only strictly able to play in Talishar? Yeah, no, that's understandable, right? Very invested in Fab. I guess you can be invested in Fab and also play like casual formats. I don't know, like every time I go back to my locals for armories, I always get like sucked deeper into CC, and I'm just like, oh man, I forgot how much I love playing CC. Like winning both of those armories in a row and netting both of these guys. I don't know why I'm not just like doing this. Netting both of these was super cool. Like being able to get both of them, I was very, very happy with my own play, as well as just being able to get pretty much the two helmets that I cared about the most. I do want to get all 6, but I do like those a lot. You can do online, got your physical deck. Okay, cool. You got your physical deck, so that's good. Because I want to play in person, right? I mean, literally the whole thing is I'm just taking this camera and I'm going to flip it down. And so that way it'll come down over here. And I have my camera arm set up. Obviously, you'll see I'm a little further away from the camera right now. So, yeah. Very, very excited. I'm excited to get into it, but I need to figure out what I need to make the decks, because I don't have everything. Have you okay, I don't want to get like, you know, you don't have to tell me, but what are you thinking about playing for Clash? Do you only have two decks, or did you two decks? Do you only have 2 decks, or did you make several? Because you can make several. You can have several. It's only when you're in the top 8 can you have to lock in 2 decks and can't change them at all. Just commons and rares, so it's a stepping stone from commoner to Blitz CC. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's also fine. I would imagine. So do you think the specializations are a little too much, or is it the fact that like the weapons can be anything? Because it's not terrible to do that, right? I mean, in most cases, it's like that anyway. The only time in which it becomes like a problem, and ad playing can't hear. Okay, sorry, no worries. I'll fix it up. Specs are not. Well, specs are a little bit expensive. I mean, you take a look at Starstruck. That's pretty expensive. Blood on Her Hands is currently expensive. The Golden Sun is a little expensive. I mean, like compared to like an actual like set, I guess. Ad done. Okay. Well, thank you for watching the ad. I appreciate you. So do you think removing the specializations is kind of like the way to go? Because I do genuinely want to know people's opinions on like the power level of Clash and like how people would see changes to it and so on and so forth. Because I think it's a nice stepping stone to be able to include specializations, especially since we talked about even Sloop Dupe talks about it on his video when he talks about Clash, how most Viscerai lists don't actually play Shard because it's just like there's a better card you can put in there. In most cases, Shard is good for long play games. Like you'd want to play Shard in a Viscerai list in CC because right now the whole goal in CC is just to generate a ton of rune chance. So tends to happen. Also, hi Yama, good to see you. Not problems. I don't think we're talking about problems. We're discussing how Clash has grown, and what people might want to see different compared to its commoner what's the word I'm looking for? Counterpart, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, I was very happy when we got a ton of I think we have 14 people in the Clash Bash right now. Want to do a little Clash demo match at some point? Would want to practice? Yeah, sure. I mean, if I've got time towards the end of this, I would certainly be down to do it. I don't know how much longer you're going to be up, but I just kind of want to go over our topics and do some. You know how much I like talking, so doing some discussions, and then I might be able to hit you up on Discord if I'm up later today, and we can just play offline if that's the case. Very a lot in power, but more because the added complexity it brings to describing the format. Coming from an MG background, the overly complicated formats always die. I mean, I think Commander is a pretty complicated format, but it's alive. I'm not just like saying that. I mean, like genuinely, I think Commander is incredibly complicated compared to a 60 card constructed format. Because not only do you have to deal with your own board, but now you have to deal with 3 opponents' boards as opposed to just your own. You have to have 100 cards in your deck, 99 cards in your deck, as opposed to 60, roughly. Commander isn't nearly... Yeah, Commander is the only thing keeping Magic alive. I mean, truly. They've revitalized their pro scene, which is good for them, right? I'm not sure how many people are in it, like how much like hype there is, because like anytime I see hype for I mean, it's different. Most of my content I take is I consume, excuse me, is flesh and blood competitive stuff too. So I see a lot more hype for that than I do for like the pro scene, and when I see people talking about these Magic conventions, like one that's happening just this weekend in Chicago, which I wish I was there, I see a lot more people just excited to hang out and play Commander and like shoot the shit than people who are like, yeah, I can't wait to go into the Pro Tour, or I can't wait to do this RCQ in Chicago. Like, I mean, I personally just don't see it, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening, Make a single deck in colors is complicated. Well, it's the deck construction that's really complicated. I mean, like, making a singleton deck in all its colors is complicated until it's not complicated, but then you talk about how there are certain cards in Magic's history that you can have multiple copies of, like Rat Colony or Relentless Rats or Dragon's Approach. Slime Against Humanity is a new card that just came out. And you know, and then you have, okay, but then they have to be certain colors. But then wait, you have companions, but companions don't work the same way in Commander that they do in the constructed version of the game. They're completely different. And then you've got the million different kinds of land bases that all do completely different things. I feel like it's just explaining a Clash deck. I feel like I could make that just as simple. Main deck, rares and commons. Equipment, rares and commons. The only thing that can be any rarity is your hero, your weapon, your mentor, and any specializations. So I feel like that's a pretty easy concept. Obviously, it's not two things, right? It's just a couple more things. But most people aren't playing mentors, so really you don't have to worry about that. It's really the weapons that are more important, but that's just because most people's like specialization weapons, like Voltaire, which isn't really a specialization weapon, but like Voltaire for Lexi, like you could play Shiver Lexi, sure. You could play Death Dealer Lexi, sure. But like Voltaire is the weapon for Lexi. And so like if you want to kind of get an idea about how the game is played further on into the format, playing something like Voltaire is going to give you a better idea how Lexi plays. And the same thing goes with Winter's Wail for Oldhim. There's like a lore thematics to it, I guess, but it's pretty much just commoner with rares, except for like 6 cards in most cases. So largely social than an excuse for people to try. It is, yeah, that is the case though, Yama. It pretty much is the case there. Isn't card evaluation a harder skill to learn in Fab than Magic because it's very classy or weapon related, while Magic is more consistent? I would say because that's really it, right? In Magic, you look at a red card and you go, okay, this red card can go in my red deck. And in Fab, it's okay, this warrior card can go in my warrior deck, but this draconic warrior, maybe sometime in the future, this draconic warrior card can't go in my warrior deck. It can go in my draconic warrior deck. That's just reading, though. I don't think it's like that terrible of a hump to get people over. I think the only time it matters, the reason it's easier for Magic is so that Magic comes out with a new set, right? Magic comes out with a new set. There are guaranteed to be 5 colors and even colorless artifacts and equipment and so on and so forth, right? There are guaranteed to be all 5 of those colors and some dual colors represented in the new set. Always. I mean, they're always going to have 5 colors, and those colors can be utilized in any of the decks that you own, no matter what, because it's based on color. When Flesh and Blood comes out with a Mechanologist only set and doesn't have anything for, outside of the expansion slot, the Draconic Illusionist, then it's different, right? The only thing that really affects is sales and interest in the set. There aren't a lot of people who like to just like jump classes. And so because there's not a lot of people who like to jump classes, right? It's just not, it is what it is. Blue card and Warrior and a blue card and Guardian have vastly different conditions to be regarded as good. I mean, I wouldn't say, I guess it's easier. I think the only thing that makes it easier is it like the biggest thing to note with Magic is if a blue card that says counter target spell at instant speed comes out in a set and its cost to play it is like 2 and a blue, right? That costs 3 mana to play. But then you take a look at Counterspell, which is counter target spell, and it costs just 2 blue. People go, that's the better card, right? Like, that's the better one. It costs less and does the same thing, if not better. That's the card you want, right? And yeah, in Fab, right, a blue in Warrior is significantly different than a blue in Guardian, but that comes down to several things, right? You know, you look at Guardian and you're like, what is Guardian's play style? Guardian likes to have big attacks and have all their stuff blocked for 3 in most cases. And if that's the case, and that fits that criteria of that blue card, that's what Guardians want. If that blue card pitches for something like a Grandeur of Valahai, it doesn't block, but it does pitch for a Seismic Surge, might be different, right? But I do believe Flesh and Blood is both simpler and a little bit more difficult than Magic, in the same realm, right? And the reason being is because, again, like Magic, you just need to learn the 5 colors and then like some keywords that are very important. In Flesh and Blood, you just got to learn what each class's general playstyle is like, and then keywords. So I'd say resource allocation's a little bit harder in Fab than it is in Magic, and that's just simply because in Magic you can go 17 lands sounds about right, 13 lands, 14 lands, maybe 22, 24 lands in Commander, and you're okay. Right. And as long as all of those lands tap for things, then you're good. But in Fab, you have to go, okay, how many blues should I run? Right. I need to look at the cost of every single one of my cards. How many blues should I run? Should I run any yellows? Is yellow even worth it? How many times am I going to need to pitch for 5 and have, how many times am I going to need 2 floating in order for me to pummel? Or how many times am I going to need 5 for Tomeltai, right? It's all perspective of kind of what the deck needs to do. I believe there is a lot more deck building constraints, but that doesn't mean that Clash is significantly easier, because just like an easy thing to do for people who are trying to like figure out the Clash builds is you just go on Fabrary, find winning classic constructed decks, look at all the cards that are in the deck, and then go, that's a rare, that's a common. That weapon I can use because it's majestic and my hero can use it. That armor I can use if it's rare or common. And then just kind of fill in stuff that you might need. Just find basic changes from that. So like, for instance, I was even looking at Spellbound Creepers, right? For Runeblade. Spellbound Creepers is really good for Runeblade. I don't have $120 to buy Spellbound Creepers, nor do I ever think I want to buy it for $120. Not to mention the fact that most people, from what I know, just use it to block 1. They don't even use its ability half the time. They just use it to block 1 damage. And then that's it. So at that point, I'm just like, well, instead of spending $120, I can just buy Iron Rot Legs. And then I'll be fine, because it just does the same thing and it costs significantly less. You can find those same things in lower formats, right? You can run Iron Rot Legs in Clash and Commoner. You might want to run something else depending on what hero you're running, but you can find similarities, I think, from strong legendaries and majestics to rares and commons. And I think it's just a matter of what you're doing. But it is a little bit more of a learning curve, but I think that's why I think it's just what you want out of your deck, right? You can't make an exact replica of your CC deck in Clash or in Commoner, right? So, my cards in Kasai CC your deck are common and rares. Well, there you go, right? That means that you can at least make a fairly competent Clash deck with Kasai. Yeah. I mean, it's literally just you just cut down the decks, and you're pretty solid. And most, like I said, like most of the stuff, you know, you can still run all the specializations. So you can still run Blood on Her Hands, right? Blood on Her Hands. You can still run just 2 copies of Blood on Her Hands. If you run a Raise the Army build, you can run 2 Raise the Army in there as well. But you can't run Spoils of War. And so now it's like that's the only difference is like you can't run Spoils of War now. And you can't run and what the hell else does Kasai run? That's majestic. Like big Blade Flurry. You can't run Blade Flurry. You can't run you can run Blood on Her Hands. Because Blood on Her Hands is a specialization that you can use for Kasai. So Nourishing Emptiness, yeah, you can't run Nourishing. If it's a specialization, it can be put in the deck, no matter what. And that's the other thing, too, is that, again, like we talked about earlier, like you take a look at somebody like Viserai, who has a fabled specialization that costs like $300. Nobody from what I know, right, and we're a very small community still, nobody from what I know is running a tournament winning, consistently winning, undefeated Viserai deck, first off, and then also having that Viserai deck run Arknight Shard. So is Arknight Shard bad? I mean, if you have one and you wanted to run it in a budget Clash deck, sure. But in most cases, people aren't going to run it. It's kind of the same way with Shiana, right? Shiana will play any specialization. Doesn't matter, right? She can be any specialization because she can be any class. But she's a $70 hero, and in most cases, just like in Blitz, doesn't really do anything. She's not winning. She's not winning anything. It's not powerful enough for people to be like, yeah, we have to play Shiana. That's just not the case. The same goes with Emperor. We made Command and Conquer a specialization for the Emperor because like he literally can just tutor them from his deck. And that's super good. The downside is that Command and Conquer is $70 if you don't already own them. And even still, you don't have access to Stormstriders, which is another thing that made the Emperor really good. The Stormstriders and all the majestic and legendary warrior equipment, like you don't have access to that kind of stuff anymore. So now you just have to play Emperor at like a shittier budget level, and it's not as good. And the only thing you have in your deck that's like worth anything is Command and Conquer. And at that point, you can just play Arsenal Disruption in any other class. You know, play Command Respect in Guardian. It's a common that if it hits, your opponent blows up their arsenal. That's pretty good. You have Wreck Havoc, which is another Arsenal Disruption card that you can play, and it's a generic. It's just like, it's literally CNC, but it has 2 block instead of 3. And so you still have access to that card in Clash, but not in Commoner. You don't have access to it in Commoner. So it's like a lot of these, you like the rarity of a card does not often mean its power level. In most cases, it does with equipment, but in regards to like cards in the deck, not always the best. You know, I think that's something I really enjoy is because like in most cases, you don't see a whole lot of like common cards in in Magic the Gathering decks that are like winning modern tournaments or something. You know, you normally have rare lands and all these crazy powerful rares and mythics and so on and so forth. And like there's, every now and again you'll see an uncommon, but their power levels of their cards are normally based on their rarity. And you take a look at Redback Shroud, which is a legendary chess piece for Assassin, and nobody runs it. But that's obviously because Final Spring Tunic is just significantly better right now. So if I can only play Red Hot and Rise Up, especially they do, yeah, that is true. They can only play Red Hot and Rise Up. But sometimes you don't even need it. Like the reason I like Clash 2 is because like Dromai is just Ashwings in Commoner, which is fine. Like that's how they introduced her in the Blitz deck. Is they didn't give her any of her dragons. And so it was like, okay, cool. So I make Ashwings and I swing with attacks. Like, okay. But now in Clash, you have access to the other dragons, which significantly makes her like more in tune to what she's supposed to be doing, as opposed to what she'd be doing in, Commoner, which is just making Ashwings. The same went for Levia, right? I think that was the whole point, was that Levia was kind of trash in Commoner. Obviously, with Hellhammer now and like several things that came out in DTD, she's a little bit better, but she's still not topping tables. And that's mainly because there is like one thing. Exactly. Most of the dragons are rare, and no, exactly. I don't run Red Hot at all in my Dromai deck. I don't. I don't run any specialization in my Dromai deck because the dragons are kind of like the specialization. That we had to do the same thing for Prism, Advent of Thrones, because you can play Prism Advent of Thrones, but her whole thing is that she awakens her figments, but like figments are all majestics, so you couldn't really get them in there. So what we did on the Clash committee is we went, hey, if people want to play Prism, that's cool. They can also then we're just going to make the angels be specializations. I think it's too much. That's fair, and that's fair. Like I said, I'm not here to convince you that you should stop playing Commoner and you should start playing Clash, right? If specializations are too much, right, we want to be able to do our best to make it to where it's a power level in which people understand. And I think the specializations do really well because, again, I'm not sure if you're sure on the. I'm not sure if you know about like the, like the origins, like the background behind Clash, but it's essentially kind of like it's supposed to be from like a lore perspective of a hero kind of getting into their like classic constructed level power, and in doing so, it's kind of like a training arc. So, being able to do stuff like, you'd have to do. It's kind of like I said, it's like a training arc. You have heroes who went from a commoner level who are just like babies in a way, and now they're kind of getting into their own by getting access to their specializations, so they can kind of learn a little bit more about their special moves. And then as they move into like Blitz, which is their like fully powered young format, and then they evolve into classic constructed, right? So, okay. So yeah. So it is, that's just kind of the concept for what they have for it. I liked the lore aspect of it. I think that it's a great way to kind of learn the game, is to start at a budget format and then move your way up. Unless you're somebody who likes to be thrown into the fire, in which you can start at the top and you can just go, okay, cool, I'm going to drop $800 in this deck I know nothing about, and I'm going to go to my locals and I'm going to play. So, it's hard pressed to figure that out and see what's going on there. But I do think that Clash has more of a structured way to playing it. You can even play meme heroes in Clash, like the merchants. And what else? I don't technically think you can play the judges too, the adjudicators. I don't remember if we made that a thing, because like you can play any hero. That's like our whole point is you can play any hero. I don't think you can play Yorick. I don't think you can play Yorick because that just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so it's it's a thing. We're just trying stuff out. Clash hasn't really been like a forefront of anything for a long while, and because of that, Nathaniel and myself and other people who are on the committee, we're trying to get information from people, check out stuff, see what might be more enticing for them to try out Clash, and if it's something that they like, that's great. I gotta say though that if there is one thing that is consistently that I see as a problem going down the future, right, to the future of Clash and even in Commoner, the problem I see moving forward is that ice is still incredibly prevalent in both of those formats, in Clash and Commoner. Incredibly prevalent. And with it being as prevalent as it is, you have to hope that you're faster or more resource intensive than your ice player. Oldhim dominates tables in most cases. Icelander dominates tables in most cases. Ira does pretty well. And sometimes Ira is enough to get you through all that crazy stuff, because Ira can just play a bunch of zero cost blues and just attack with swords and not have to worry about anything else. They can run AB5 and swords and just like do whatever. But it's different. So too complicated for us to ever adopt it. Like they ever get enough traction, but I do hope people enjoy the game. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing too, I think, is that I don't really think that we want LSS to adopt it. Like I don't think the concept is to, eventually get LSS to adopt the format. Oh my goodness. You're up from your nap? Yeah. I don't think we want LSS to adopt it. We like having it be a community run format that is we're able to take in information like this and churn it into stuff that we can help make the format better for people. And if we need to change things about the format, right, then we need to change things about the format. And that's something that we as a community can do, as opposed to having to wait for LSS to make the change for us. The only thing that we take into account when it comes to LSS is when they make changes to the commoner ban list. When they make changes to the commoner ban list, that is when we do not that's when we are just like, okay, right, those come into effect for us because we run the commoner ban list. So the traction is completely upon the community. And from what I hear, according to our Discord, is that a lot of people are stopping playing Commoner because they want to play Clash. Because Clash's power level is a little bit higher. It embodies what they liked about their CC hero, just at a budget level. And that's just kind of it. So hard to get players when there aren't formal events. That is true. I mean, we just got 14 people into our Clash Bash league. There's a league happening online right now for the Clash Bash. 14 people. That is way more than I expected us to have on such on something that we just revitalized. So we have a lot of people who are interested in the format. But you want to, Bubba? You want to come up here? No? Okay. Well, never mind then. But it's hard to get players into it if there's not a formal event. That is correct. But I know there are people who are playing Clash at their kitchen table. There are people who are making Clash stuff for their for their own YouTube channels. And the more that we on the committee, as well as, just not just myself, but also other content creators that we have in our Discord community, the more people that make Clash like stuff, the more it will eventually spread, right? Social media is a big deal and it helps get things out to players. And, you got to take a look at something like pauper EDH for Magic, right? PDH is something that wasn't really a huge deal until just maybe like, I don't know, 4 years ago. So yeah, like I know you guys out. I know Tomas, you guys do your Clash events. There are people who run Clash events. They like them. It's just not anything that you can put in Gem, and it's not anything that you can get like Armory prizes for. But you also have to realize that not a lot of people are doing anything besides Classic Constructed, at least here in the States, for Armory prizes. It's very hard to get people to come out and do anything besides Classic Constructed. And I think that's why, this isn't a we're going to revolutionize Flesh and Blood. This is we want people to enjoy the game in whatever way they feel possible. And if they wanted to get into the game and find out the power levels of heroes, they might want to try in Classic Constructed or maybe in Blitz. That this is a nice budget way for people to get into it and to play that isn't Commoner. Even though Commoner, I still suggest anybody who's big into Clash, just bring your deck down to Commoner level or go play a different deck in Commoner and then go win gold foils at the Callings. Like Callings and Battle Hardens are giving out they're giving out gold cold foils for winning a Commoner event. And so I think that's wild, because you know how many people are in Commoner events? I think at the Celebrational in Queenstown, Dice Commando, a big fan of his channel, he went to a Commoner event in Queenstown when he was there for the Celebrational, and 13 people were there for the Commoner event. So obviously, like, there's not a ton of people playing anything outside of Classic Constructed. But there were people who were really excited to just play. And I think this is the whole thing, like, you really, really, really want to just embody fun of the game. There's obviously still going to be a competitive aspect to it. And that's good. There were over 30 in calling Dells for. Ooh, okay. Well, that's good. There you go. And like I said, I love Commoner. Like this whole budget format thing originally started when I started looking into Pauper for Magic. I looked into Pauper and I went, wow, Pauper is really, really cool. But before I started getting back into Magic, I was just like, no, I want to really play more Flesh and Blood because I was getting into that. And then I moved into Flesh and Blood, and then I started getting really competitive into Flesh and Blood. And then I was like, okay, cool. CC is awesome, but I'll let the pros handle the competitive scene of Classic Constructed. I want to talk about the niche that needs more attention. And that's Commoner and Clash and things like that. I know Table Pit is doing super great with like UPF content. Crazy good, although I agree, Tomas. I think UPF needs a little bit of help, but I don't know what that is or what that would even mean, because I think UPF is still a better thing to play than Commander, but I don't know. Again, I think it's just because resource-based things. What did you end up playing in the event? Playtime? Was it Ira or Icelander or Fi? Because like I said, I love Commoner. I love Commoner. And I genuinely love Commoner. Like KO and Commoner now, whoo boy. Like KO and Commoner is going to be insane now. So new KO more specifically. So play Dash. There you go. Dash is also a fantastic pick. That's actually, I played Dash during, when did I play Dash? I played Dash my second Commoner event at Calling Indianapolis. Because the first one I went to, I played Arachne. Not Solitary Confinement. Solitary Confinement was not out yet. I played original Arachne. I was able to get I did double Nimblism into Sack the Shifty for freaking 10 damage sack the Shifty. In common, I was like, what is Guardian? But like, that's the best play I ever had. And it wasn't very great. Arachne is not super great into commoner. But then I had all my stuff for Dash, and I was like, well, cool, I want to play Dash. And so I made a Dash build like the night before. Super good. So Flock is good. I don't think I played Flock. Maybe I should give that a shot. See what it's all about. Because I'm wondering, I made a build previous. Obviously, there's been no new cards since, but I made a build for Solitary Confinement Arachne for Commoner on my channel. It turns out I like it a lot. I think it's very, very good. I think the diseases are such like an insane thing. So gives a quick. Oh, it does? Don't you have to like do something? An additional cost to play Flock of Featherwalkers. Reveal a card in your hand with cost. Okay, 1 resource or less. Create a Quicken Aura token with when you play an attack action or attack action with a weapon. Destroy Quicken, then go. Oh, whoa. All right, playtime. I'm going to have to make a new deck. I'm going to have to make a new thing for Common. I didn't even fucking think about Flock. Christ. That's so good. That's so good. 2 4 attacks? How much does it cost to play 1? Okay, so Arsenal, pitch a blue, play Flock, reveal sack, get a Quicken token, play sack. Oh, this is an attack too. I didn't even realize. So you could play red Flock at the end of your turn, right? Like you can like Spider's Bite and then red Flock. Arsenal, a Flock. And then you can play Flock, get another Quicken, and then sack into Rob the Rich. Not Rob the Rich. That's a rare. It's a rare. I'm thinking Nyx. Yeah, Nyx the Nimble. Fun. Yeah, I wanted to make more content, deck lists, and so on and so forth. I know Dice Commando's been killing it with a whole bunch of Commoner content, so I want to do some stuff with him someday, because I also enjoy Commoner a lot. But like I said, this channel's main purpose is just to continue to spread the awesome things that are these budget formats, because I really do enjoy them. I think that playing in these formats is just like it's an embodiment of like the fun aspect of the game. Because like I don't ever get salty if I'm gonna if I lose a match like that. But man, it's just like when I'm playing Classic Constructed, I have the same attitude. I have the same attitude when playing Classic Constructed. But like I've seen people's faces when they lose to me and are very like upset, and I feel bad at that point. I remember there was I don't know if he's going to be, I don't know if he actually follows the channel. I was going against a Dromai in the finals. It was Dromai versus Dromai in the finals of, not the armory I went to last week, but the one before, where I won the Hood of Red Sand. Their Dromai deck was a almost exact replica of Aaron Shantz's World Championship build, which is funny because my deck is based along the same thing. I just don't have any Tome of Imperial Flames. I don't have any Cadaverous Contraband. I have 1 Erase Face, and I don't have any Chrome of the or Dust of the Chrome Caverns. Of any of those. And so I'm sitting here with like a bare bone. I have 5 cards for a sideboard. 5 cards for a sideboard in Classic Constructed. And I won. I won that game. No Tomes of Imperial Flame against a Tome of Imperial Flame deck, and I won. Now, to be fair, the guy who was playing the other Dromai had only been playing for like 5 months. And in my own defense, I'd been playing for a little while. I've been playing since Dynasty, but I have not played Classic Constructed in like a year at that point. So it was very, very like polarizing because I was just like, man, I know what the draw my matchup is like. I just have not done anything in regards to that. So pretty much everything, still missing some heavy cards and still no, and Commerce fun. You know what the best part? Another thing that I always like to preach on this channel is that if you play budget formats, your collections get to grow. Because instead of you having to buy 3 Codex of Frailty, you now just need to buy 1. Well, 2, if you really want to get them for, you know, the rainbow foil and the non-foil. 3, I'm a liar, because you need to get the Marvel too. So like, you know, but like your collections are able to grow because you're spending more money on your collection than you are on the game. Because if every deck costs $10 and you're like, yeah, I don't feel like playing Ira today, I want to play Bravo. $10. Switched over, now you're in a completely new deck, you're playing some new stuff, and you're able to then take that money and put that into something else. I don't understand how this coffee has gotten better as it's colder. I think it's just because my peppermint mocha creamer. Commoner is good, but I like the higher power level. Exactly. And that's why, you know, that's why I want to cover both, right? I'd like to theoretically start doing, when I do deck techs, theoretically, I want to do a deck tech for Commoner and then tell people how to upgrade it for Clash as well. Because that's my whole point, right? I want that to happen, right? I want there to be Commoner and Clash collectively in one video, and then people can figure out the formats there. So, Flock and Razor. I played Razor. I did play Razor, but I didn't play Flock. So, but yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Bad decks are bad. I mean, like, you cannot tell me until they print like an absolutely insane non-attack action that, you know, makes a rune chant and gets go again. Will Viserai ever be like good in Commoner? Like, it's really not happening. Vincent also really cares about rune chant generation. Can't really do a whole lot in there. You know, you've got what the hell else do you have? What's that one? It's the one where it's destroyed. Sigil of Suffering? Yeah, Sigil of Suffering. That's deal arcane damage. That's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the one where, like, at the beginning of your turn, if it wasn't, like, destroy it, you get 3 rune chants, but if you took damage, you destroy that instead. I don't know what it is. But yeah, like, Vincent can be tough, but like Vincent without the gloves, like, it's not even the gloves that make, like, Vincent in actually Nathaniel is currently working on a Vincent build that is actually incredibly efficient. I mean, you're making somewhere around like 2 to 5 rune chants a turn, and then coming in with a huge attack with go again for, like, it's like a 7 power attack with 5 rune chants in the back in a 20 health format. Like that's crazy. Somebody just really pretty solid Vincent Commoner build. Nice. There you go. Well, I'll have to check it out. Like I said, I'm down. I'm really, really hoping to continue to do that. And so, like, that's, believe it or not, so, like, segue into something I wanted to do is do this, right? So I have a bunch of bulk from heavy hitters, and that bulk I'm now using to make, I mean, they're technically Clash decks. I'm making these for our LGS to hand out to people to play. And I think that's really like an incredibly big, I don't know, like, I think it's a big win. I'm trying to figure out and like, let me know whether or not you guys, I want to bring up the deck lists because I want to see what you guys think about them. And I'd be curious whether or not you change anything. So this is the current Kasai build that I have set up. Now remember, how these decks work is these are all going to be heavy hitters, bulk builds. They only use cards from heavy hitters. And that's the only stipulation, is that they only use cards from heavy hitters. And they have to be rares or below. So obviously it's very nice that these helmets are rare, but... Oh, there you go. Okay, well, I'm sharing deck lists. So we're going to go over some deck lists. I just kind of wanted to show you guys some of this. I'm trying to figure out a nice mix there. Where's Engaged Swiftblade? I did not put Engaged Swiftblade in here. And the reason I didn't is because I'm actually utilizing a little bit more of a draw strategy in here than I am a huge, like, insane go against strategy. I also think that Engaged Swiftblade is just like you're putting the same text onto that Hot Streak has, just on a different attack. So like I could theoretically do Engage Swiftblade into like Rising Energy, right? Which would make them not want to block that, right? But blocking 8 is a lot. So it's something I'm still testing, but that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, and I mean, I could always make a commoner build too for them, but I'm not playing Engage Swiftblade because I want this to kind of be more draw specific than just like buff specific. Because Agile Engagement's really good, gets you an agility token for things. Lead with speeds, obviously, without, the card's good. But I like utilizing these a lot, the Rising Energy and Rising Speed, because if I draw swords I need 2 blues, one to play draw swords, and then draw a card, and then I can play Rising Speed for 2, go again, or for 5, go again, and then into Rising Energy for 6. That's 11 amongst 2 cards. And if I really wanted to, and I had the agility token, I could start with Rising Energy, and then I could play Rising Speed, and then I could swing with a weapon or something. And technically, this is more, because this would be coming if I did +3 into a Rising Speed, that's 8, and then 6 on the red. So I think the draw, that's kind of the theme for this Kasai deck, is more so drawing cards than it is like anything else. Going wide is good, but I think that's where Hot Streak comes in, right? Hot Streak is just like, that's the card. Like, if you have nothing on your turn and you're trying to just maximize things, swing with Hot Streak. They're either not going to block it and take 2 damage, or they're going to block it with something that isn't an attack action, and then you still strip a card from their hand. So I think that's like the best case scenario for something like this. Again, these are heavy hitters only bulk things. I don't know what they're going to go into, right? I mean, I'm not putting like Null Rune in here or something. So like if they go against a arcane hero, it's going to suck. But these are like just dinky little ways to play the heroes. So yeah. And I added in Taken on the Chin because it's a nice prevention of 2 damage. And then you also create an agility token at instant speed. So play that on your opponent's turn, blocking something, and then you're able to get your next turn as agility. So and then I play Rally of the Rearguard blue just for a blue pitch, but also it blocks for 5 in some cases. So make no arcane heroes or learn to play events. So yeah. I mean, I wouldn't either. it's just because like it's too hard to do that. I mean, even if they came out with an all arcane set, I mean, I'd still make it, but it would like if I was to do like an event, I'd keep it to like one set, right? Like I'd keep it to just heavy hitters, or I'd keep it to just outsiders, as opposed to uh splitting it, right? But these are just like things for people to be like, hey, you want to take this home? It's it's like $5, and you don't even need to pay. Like most people will just hand these out to people. The other thing I'm doing in this deck is doing some trade-ins, right? Because trade-in is really good. I do run the Rainbow of trade-in, which I still don't know if is like the move, but I run Rainbow trade-in because being able to start with trade-in, discard, draw allows me to then turn on my swords and then also gets other things. The only thing that is going to be a problem with that is if I have agility, but not really, because then I can just attack with something and then play trade-in from Arsenal and then play another thing. So you're able to go at least 3 in most cases. So doing UPR to heavy. There you go. I made some UPR decks, but I am missing some stuff for I haven't really fleshed out a bulk build for a bulk build for Icelander yet. But I haven't dove too deep into it. I pretty much made, because what happened is weeks prior, I went to my locals, and my local shop gave me all of their bulk, which included a whole bunch of Uprising, a whole bunch of Dynasty, a whole bunch of Bright Lights, and that was it. And Dusk Till Dawn. And so I made everything I possibly could out of just that bulk alone. And it pretty much just turned into, okay, like I'm missing a couple cards for these. I'll just turn them into, flash decks or something. And that worked out perfect. But I made a Phi deck and I made a Dromai deck. But Icelander, I didn't finalize anything in there yet. So Icelander isn't done yet. And then I haven't done anything with Outsiders. They didn't have any Outsiders bulk in there. Because it was literally just that, and then I made Bright Light stuff. I made a Tech Levosin deck, I made a Dash IO deck, or Dash Database deck, and I made a Max Nitro deck. And after all of that was said and done, I was like, okay, cool. I was only able to make that amount of decks. So exactly, she does so much better with the Finals Fighting Spears, which is why I introduced the rares. Because I figure even if you just play with rares and commons, like you're still getting a lot of rares and a lot of commons in bulk. So like you're still doing it, like you're still making that choice to push that forward. So I don't know, but this is Kasai. I don't know if you guys have any takes on this or anything of the sort. The resource generation seems to be okay. I'm trying to include the drinks in every one of these decks just because the drinks help turn on your like stuff like this, right? Your I don't know, your temper equipment, I guess, for these things. So the drinks are good. They're a great thing to add in there, especially to get that temper equipment into the fray. These rare helmets are just so good. Again, like specializations, these helmets are good. They really, really help out. You'll see later on when I show you. I'm really trying to figure out the warrior builds. I kind of have down. The brute and the guardian builds, I'm just not entirely sure on yet. So this is Kasai. Olympia here obviously has a little bit more focus on wagering, and then using attack reactions. So there weren't a ton of attack reactions as you saw in Kasai's build. It was mainly draw stuff, pump stuff, go wide, and then you had some attack reactions like agile. In here, though, we go a little bit more of a vigor build, and we still use some reds. There's the engaged Swiftblade there for that, but it's mainly just a pump because we want to pump as much as we can and then come in with a big attack like Wage Vigor or wage agility, right? And the reason being is, we still have access to several things that allow us to, obviously make our weapons have wagers too, which is really good. But I'm mainly trying to focus on pumping super well and then having vigor tokens to then play attack reactions on top of it. Because if I'm able to come in with an engaged Swiftblade and an edge ahead, that's +6 onto a 7 wage vigor. So let's say, what is that? I'd have to pitch 2 blues. Have this. Let's say I have this in arsenal. 2 cards in hand. Pitch that. So yeah. So I could play. I write. Pitch a blue for both of these. Have 1 float. Pitch another blue. Play wage vigor with 1 float. And then you have things like this, which is just so good. And then you can make that attack. What is that? 7 plus 6, 15, 13. 13. Plus another 3, 16. Or if you have the resources for it, you can play 2 more and have it come in for 18. Like, I think it's fun. And so, like, this isn't so much of a go wide strategy, although I do include some for it. But I like this ability because, you have a lot of stuff here. It's very much so focused on wagering more than anything. You've got red money where your mouth is and so on and so forth. I just don't know if there's enough blues because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blues in this whole deck. 6 blues in the whole deck. And my wage stuff costs 3. My leads, and the whole reason I didn't add a ton of blues is because, again, I wanted to do a little bit more like a vigor build, right? Like the hold'ems help me get vigor. The lead with hearts help me get vigor. That'll get me an additional resource, so it'll make these yellows kind of be blues, which is where my thought process is for that. But I can't exactly say that it's the best choice. But again, these are just bulk builds for people to try out. If we do like a draw 4. Like this, for instance, we can pitch to play Hold'em, and then we can use this to then swing with a wage vigor for, the hell is that, 10? Or not 10, 9. 9 on hit double vigor. And then you'll have 2 floating vigor. They'd have to block 9. Now, obviously, turn 1, not the best, but blocking 9 in like a low defense value format, pretty good. And of course here, we've got money where your mouth is, so we can put a wager on something else. And then we can, obviously we don't have any resources for wage agility here, but we can lead with heart, money where your mouth is. No, we'd have to we have 2 floating if we did that, if we hit. So if we have 2 floating, theoretically we could money where your mouth is, lead with heart, and then pitch for a hot streak for, God, what? 8? 8, block with an attack action, get go again, and then you can spend the last 1 to attack with a Centauri Saber. So, yeah. So that's Olympia. Olympia is definitely more focused on the wagering mechanics of things, because obviously he gets gold. But, obviously still up for debate. Then we're going to look at KO. So this is my build for KO. He's just running Ball Breaker and not Mandible Claw. But that's just because I feel like you can end with Ball Breaker super well and you get that break point. Again, this is just more agility stuff. You've got wage agility, you got agile windups, assault and batteries, the whole 9. You got blue 6s, like Pound Town. Lead with speeds get you agility. Lead with power for a little bit of might. Bonebreaker Bellow, although I might want to run more Bonebreaker Bellows, but I'm not entirely sure. Pack Hunts are nice because it's just like an easy Intimidate. And then Wild Rides, and then Rally the Rearguard Yellow for pitching, and then also because it's technically a 6, in case you discard it. So how many 6s? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. 28 sixes in the deck, theoretically. So, uh, yeah, no, that is true. That is absolutely true. And I like the combat trick of being like, okay, pitch to play claw, and your opponent go, oh, they don't have go again. Block. It's like, cool, okay, pitch or discard agile windup at instant speed. It gets go again. Then I come in with this thing. I think it's nice, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like it might just not be enough. I'm also realizing no, that's right. It looks like significantly less equipment, but that's just because he's only got one arm. So like I'm on the fence with Ball Breaker because like I like it, but like from a card accessibility standpoint, these weapons are kind of hard to pull sometimes. I think out of all the weapons that I got throughout all of this, I only got like 4 Ball Breakers out of like 11 boxes. So it's huge. I mean, it's a big it's hard kind of to pull these rare weapons. So using claw for the sake of accessibility in replace of ball breaker. So like for instance, if I go through this whole deck again, I get everything together and I'm like, oh, I don't have a ball breaker. I'll replace it with claw because it's just like it's also good. And yeah, so that's kind of my whole thing. Obviously, just changing things up and utilizing the bulk is the best of my ability, I guess, is the concept. Rhinar, now this is something that I've genuinely been looking at. I don't know how I want to do Rhinar yet. I know Playtime, you said that you're not sure how you want to do Rhinar either. I think it's not terrible. I utilize the strategy of Bonebreaker, Beat Chest, Claw Claw, which is 8 and then 3, respectively. What I had thought about doing, and I still might, is figuring out a mini Meat Axe build for Rhinar. Because if I can double Intimidate into let's say I have an Agility token, say I get an Agility token, and I then can Beat Chest, Meat Axe, then I have 2 Intimidate triggers and a Go Again, which then if I had the resources for, I could then play something like Rawhide Rumble for another Intimidate and then come in for 6. But I don't know how much money that is. Like best case scenario, 5 cards, right? I have Bonebreaker red in Arsenal. I have 2 blues in a red Rawhide Rumble and an agile windup in hand. So that's you pay 1, you pitch a blue. Say it's a smashback. Pitch smashback, play Bonebreaker. You'd have to ditch, probably, I'm assuming, agile windup. And then you'd be at +5 for your next attack. You then pay the next 2 floating to then attack with mini Meat Axe for 8 and then discard draw. So you discard but you discard at random. Yeah, exactly. And that's where the real hard part is, right? You discard at random, and at that point, if you'll only have 2 cards in hand, and one of those is going to be your Rawhide Rumble or your blue. And if it's your blue, then you don't get the Intimidate trigger. If it is your blue, you lose out on your resources. But then you draw a card. So I started looking into it, and I was like, I think just the better bet is to have 1 good line. Technically 2 if you really want to go into it. 2 good lines. But it's really 1 because you can only do it once. And the good line is like, let's say you're getting towards the end of the game, right? A good line for me would be to Bonebreaker, banish. Or Bonebreaker, discard. +5. Break Helmet, draw discard. And then Rawhide Rumble. So that is 3 Intimidate triggers in 1 attack. +5 to Rawhide Rumble for 11. And then you just have to make sure that your Rawhide Rumble is in Arsenal. So you got to play your Bonebreaker from hand, pitch to play, discard a card. You'll have 1 card in hand, Rawhide Rumble in discard, or in bottom, two floating resources, draw, discard. Or not draw. You'll draw a discard from Monsters Fail. So hopefully it's a 6. Get another Intimidate trigger. And then use those 2 floating to then play Rawhide Rumble to come in for 11 with 3 Intimidate triggers now. So your opponent has to have like 1 card in hand, right? I mean, like 1 card. And it's hard to block 11 with 1 card. So I think that's like the closest thing. And then also, playing double Mandible Claw, that means I can also use these Mighty Windups and Agile Windups and just like throw them away. Probably add Recurrent Blues in. If I had a ton of Recurrent Blues, I would. Just because they are bulk builds, and this would like significantly make this deck better. But I don't. And I don't want to, because it is kind of hard. So I think it's just kind of like wing it at this point. Figure it out, And that's the best part too, is it doesn't just have to be Rawhide Rumble 2, you can also play Pack Hunt. Both of these are 2-cost 6s that intimidate when they attack. This one you have to have beaten chest to intimidate, which in most cases you will with Bonebreaker Bellow, but this one intimidates. So best case scenario, you can Bonebreaker Bellow into Pack Hunt for 2 intimidate triggers. You can Bonebreaker into Double Claw for wide range of damage. And then you also have the destruction of your helmet, which has Battle Worn, so you get the Battle Worn trigger. You can obviously block with that and then just like wait. I think this is fine. I genuinely think. I'm also wondering whether or not it should be Claw Ballbreaker, because I think I'm either doing 1 big attack or 2 okay-ish attacks. And I feel like if my turn was Bonebreaker Bellow, Mandible Claw for 8, and then Bonebreaker or Ballbreaker for 4, that's 12 damage as opposed to 8 and 3. So play them against each other. Yeah, that's probably what I need to do. It's probably what I need to do is I need to just get them together and then have somebody play them against me and see how it works. So, and luckily I have them all, but that's what I've got here is the Reinar build. Now we're on to Betsy. Okay, Betsy, I wanted to play Betsy in a more like pump way, but I feel like going just strictly wager is the important part here. So game, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have time for a game today actually, because I still have a lot I want to go over and like make these decks too. So I might not have the time for a game today. I apologize, Tomas. But yeah, Betsy, I wanted to do a lot more with wagering, I think. So I had a lot of that stuff there, right? I only play the reds of Big Bop and Bigger Than Big because that's like an insane amount of value. But if I can just play Money Where Your Mouth Is and then any of these cards, like I'm pretty good. Because then this gives this, that's 4 resources for a plus X to concuss, and then I can pay 2 resources to give it overpower. So that's not a terrible thing to do. It's normally just going to be like a 1 big attack kind of deal. This one I don't have to pay anything to give it overpower, which is nice. Wage gold, obviously, any of the wager cards are going to be really, really nice. The unfortunate part is that this deck doesn't block for shit, and I feel like that's really like a big downfall. The only cards that block for 3 are my if they have more power than blank than their base. They're the only things that block for 3. Everything else blocks for 2, which is just like not super good. But I feel like this deck is supposed to be more aggressive, like take all those pumps, come in for, 15 or whatever. Which is also why I'm thinking like I might just take out like the wage golds and put in like Colossal Bearing and lay down the law the token one? Oh, this one. Yeah, lay down the law. Lay down the law is a 3 for 7 that blocks for 3, and if it's got 13 or more power, non-equipment cards get -1. And if I did a big bop, break it on my turn, attack, lay down the law for 12 with wager, I then use Betsy's ability to give it overpower, comes in for 13, and now anything that blocks it, it's just attack action. Non-equipment cards get -1 while defending it. So I feel about lunging press. I feel like it's really good if you're trying to win wagers. I feel like that's the whole purpose of this, is to win wagers. So you also got all these cards that say like when they hit, do a thing. So that is a concept that I'd like to theoretically make happen. But it's just kind of like, it's one of those things that like you don't expect. You don't expect attack reactions in Guardian. And so having something like this to push over 1 isn't terrible. Have I tested it? No. So I don't really know. This also, if I did play something like Lay Down the Law, would be able to give it +1 if I wanted to do that, right? So I don't know. I have not quite decided yet, because like I wanted to utilize the tower cards, because things like Big Bop and Bigger Than Big are like insane cards. Smack of Reality, I don't really know if I want to use, but Colossal Bearing is nice because it costs 4, comes in for 8, so it'll already have 13 if you use it with Bigger Than Big, and you'll get access to that. So like I might take out the wage golds and then put in Colossal Bearing and Lay Down the Law, just because that way I can really like push for huge turns. I mean, absolutely destructive turns. So, and like wage gold is cool, but I don't really need that. That might be what I do. Just because like it's not like a terrible thing either. Wage gold. All right, let's see. Lay down the law, and then Colossal Bearing. I think that's going to be the move. How many reds here? 20 reds. Yeah, that's about right. It's actually where I want to be. What are my draws looking like? Play Big Bop. Play freaking Wage Vigor. Play Bigger Than Big. Play it over the top. So I think it's just all about, this will also help kind of learn about pitch stacking and all that kind of stuff too, to be able to be like, yeah, you're going to want certain things there. For instance, like even here, I could theoretically play Colossal Bearing if I wanted to. If I had a gold, I could destroy a gold with her thing, and then have Colossal Bearing come in with wager, and still give it overpower. Although it's not going to give it an insane amount of damage. It's not going to give it the tower ability, but it is cool. So That's kind of what I'm doing with Betsy. Again, lunging press is kind of like that's a fun tech, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the move. Victor, on the other hand, I'm still like not again like on top of this. I like the clashes, right? I want to make this more clash focused, but I didn't want to make it like fatigue focused. So I feel like the fatigue strategy doesn't do a lot for you in here. But I do have things like test of strength, which is incredibly good. You know, you block with it, and then you more than likely win a clash, and then you get to get a card. Starting stake is something I'm gonna test in here. I don't know if I like it, but theoretically, if you have used your gold for clashes, and then your turn is you can end your turn with starting stake, not only does it block for 3, but you get to draw a card when you play this. So you could theoretically have it be the last card in your turn, and then draw, and then arsenal. So it's kind of like Ponder. You get a gold token, and then you get to draw, and then you get to discard, or you get to put an arsenal. So I don't think the concept is terrible. And yeah, I agree. I don't think fatigue focus is like super big. Like that's not what I wanted to really make the concept about. But these all blocking for 3, like I think the clash stuff is really important to emphasize in Victor, especially since you have Miller's Grindstone and Stonewall Impasse. But I wanted to be like gold generation, so that you can put like performance bonus and stuff in Arsenal. Swing with these, and then have people go, oh man, a gold token. Well, he's gonna get to draw a card if he plays if this hits, so I'm gonna block it. And so, you know, like it feels bad to block this. You know what I mean? It feels bad to block a 1 if you don't have any like armor left or anything. And then of course you have things like over the top. It'll give it overpower. So it's like Betsy, it's essentially pseudo Betsy's ability with things like lead with heart and money where your mouth is. Money where your mouth is again another gold generation thing, so it's gonna be huge. Thunk, blue thunk. You know, in most cases you're probably not going to be able to cast this, but if you are, you know, it's still a 6 that you get to reveal, and it comes in for 5. Or it's a high amount of damage. Same deal with Wallop. Wallop will get you. I wanted to make it Vigor Gold Clash stuff. So Vigor tokens, right? More Clash of Vigor than Clash of Might. Vigor with lead with heart. Gold for money where your mouth is, and then just like things to hit. But in most cases, you're going to be buffing stuff, and then you're going to be swinging with Miller's Grindstone and being an absolute menace. Because swinging with this, hitting with it, you know, now you're sitting at like, okay, now they're knocking cards from the top of my deck. It's kind of insane. But the problem is that I have a lot of cards that are not super high power. For instance, these blues here could get targeted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I have like 24 out of my 40 cards that are just not like insanely big attacks. And so if I'm going to win clashes, I need to be able to win them. And I don't exactly know. Like, I like performance bonuses, but if it means I need to put in other like big attacks, because like in a deck like this, I could probably play something like, I mean, there's like a ton of like other like Guardian heavy stuff. I could play things like Rally the Rear Guard and stuff like that, right? Play things like Command Respect and Lay Down the Law isn't even terrible. Like a 3 for 7 that blocks 3, not bad. The tokens and stuff like that, I feel like are not terrible either. Yeah, Stacked in Your Favor is even a pretty good card to have like your stuff just blocked for 5, you know. And this lets you stack your deck for your clashes, which is really good. So Stacked in Your Favor might be something that I put in there, just cause. Because then I can have my 3s blocked for 6. Like what? That's ridiculous. That's insane. So that might be something I try to put in here. Stack in your favor. Red. Um, But what would I take out? Is really my question. Maybe like a blue Clash with Might? Maybe? I don't know. It's hard. But that's something I kind of want to check out too and just like see kind of what this feel is like. And that's kind of what I'm doing for those decks, right? Like I want to emphasize the core mechanics of the hero. Mainly just using rares and commons. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. And then hopefully I can just get these out to my store, my LGS that I go to, and be able to do that. So I already have a bunch of stuff here for Olympia and for Kasai. Now I'm currently going to tweak the Rhinar builds a little bit and then kind of go from there. So, but I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I still need to sort through and get all that done. Ooh, excuse me, goodness. Yeah. So that's my goal. Again, like I want to really just like bring forward the fun aspect of the game, and I feel like Heavy Hitters really knocks it out of the park. I also really want to buy a case of Outsiders. I really want to buy a case of Outsiders because I want to do the same thing for Outsiders too. I feel like it's just like a fun thing to do for these. But I don't know. I don't know. Do it buy more? I know I do. I need to. The Outsiders is cheap right now. Outsiders is cheap. What is it? $230? $230. $230 for a case of Outsiders. That's sick. That's nice. I mean, fuck, like, but just getting a codex out of that thing is like not bad. I love how there's, what is it? 1, 2, technically 1, 2 cards, 3 cards that are not like alternate arts. Go for it. I do not have the money. I do not have the money. So I am not going to be doing it. But there's also a lot of stuff I need from the master set for Outsiders too. But I think Nathaniel said he was going to hook me up with some stuff. So, but yeah, I do not have the money for doing that. So I will not be doing that. But this is a great price for Outsiders. I'll tell you what. Codex of Frailties are going insane. Insane, these Codex of Frailties. And they're going, and they went down. There's only 8 listings out right now. Wow. All right, Smoss, you take care. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. I think Heavy Hitters is doing pretty well itself, too. $340 a case. Pretty huge. Deathmatch Arena is only going for 166. These adult Marvels are going for a lot. The young Marvels are not really. The fact you can get KO, Olympia, and Betsy for under... Where the hell is... Oh, because Reinhardt didn't get one. Just kidding. The fact you can get these are under $50 is kind of wild to me. But it is really cool. Cranes of Bloodspill, cracked card, $70. Yeah, like the value in this set's incredibly good. Incredibly good. I'm curious, like is that map? 340 a box map? I mean, what are you looking at, right? That's calculator. You're looking at like 90 a box? Yeah, it's a little under, I guess. 340. Map is 86. That probably does check out then. So Yeah, 344. So cases are still going for about map online, which is really, really good, right? Boxes are still going for this price. So that's not bad. And it's probably going to be like that for a while, especially with Marvel Heroes. Like, gosh, I don't know what it's going to cost for. I don't know what's going to happen for this set to just like drop. Because these Marvel Heroes alone are going to carry the set for a while. So I definitely think that. I think that they made a great choice. Obviously, Marvel Heroes, killer. Yeah, it's honestly what they should be doing. Like outside of like heroes that have like allies and stuff like that, or like fun, like collector pieces. Marvel heroes are definitely the way to go. I think. Like if every set just had Marvel heroes in it, I think it would be a home run because it's a card people can display really well. Like you can't really display your angel. You're not putting your angel or cold foil angels or dragons into your deck. Some people are. I'm certainly not. But with this, you can just put it in a hard case and then put it onto the table, and it's just constantly there. So I think it's nice. And then Dust Till Dawn it's probably still doing okay, right? 305 for a case. The Angels have gone down a little bit in price, but not by like a ton. Exactly. I agree. It looks like Levi went up. Crazy. I know I would just like lose my absolute ass if I bought a Dust Till Dawn booster box, but like I feel like just like the thought of opening up one of those artist proof cards would just like blow my mind. But that's gambling, and I don't have the money to gamble. This is crazy though. Dyadic Carapace being $14. That's something I actually want to do. Is I wanted to buy for Classic Constructed. I want to play Viscerai. I want to play Viscerai or Vincent like really bad. And the only thing I don't have is Spellbound Creepers, and I can just play Iron Rot Legs instead. So, damage unlimited, yeah. $125. The fact you can still sell a damaged card for $95 is insane. Nice Fizzbill. I saw that. I thought about running it because it's good, and I don't even think I'd need a lot for it. I think I need Grasp, and I need Dyadic. I think that's it for like equipment. I need Grasp and Dyadic, and then I would just need to get all the other stuff. I need to get the Sonata. I need to get the Runeblood barriers and Looming Dooms. So I need to get all that stuff. But like now's a really good time to get all that stuff because nobody's playing Viscerai. Yeah. Yeah, Grasp is insanely cheap right now. And it's something I'm genuinely thinking about picking up because like even the Arcane Rising one being $51, like that's kind of insane. Like $51? Like what? 51.57 for a unlimited edition rainbow foil Arcane Rising Grasp of the Arcanine. Like this has got to be the lowest it'll ever be. There's no way this card is going to go down any further. Which is why I'm just like I might just buy the bullet and just buy it. Especially if I can get the Arcane Rising one because like there wasn't a lot of Arcane Rising unlimited. So pretty good. This guy's got a little file of one there. Yeah, that might be my next like purchase. Is Grass of the Arcanite. Arc is the least printed set. I actually think is it? I thought Crew was the least printed set in Fab. Yeah, because Crew had like nearly nothing, and they it's like the first ed stuff kind of started going up a little bit, but then the unlimited stuff started going kind of going down, and so I think they were like nowhere near enough Crew stuff. I think it's like Crew, Everfest, Arc. Yes. Yeah, least printed draftable for sure. For sure. Yeah, because WTR had a lot of unlimited. Monarch has a lot of first ed, so we're only assuming a lot of unlimited. Tales of Aria, a lot of first ed. Also, again, another probably a lot of unlimited. And then we don't know the numbers for Uprising and Forward. So, which I wonder when we're going to get that. I wonder if we're going to get that this year. Now that Uprising came out in 2022. So, God, have I really been covering this game for 2 years? Huh. Well, I'll be. Mana's probably the most printed set in Fab. You think so? Because I think Tales of Aria has more first ed printed than Monarch. I'm almost certain, actually. And we don't know what the unlimited numbers are like for both of those either. We don't know what unlimited Monarch and unlimited Tales of Aria are like. So if unlimited Tales of Aria is like significantly less, then it's small. We don't know the numbers though. Did they divulge the numbers for Monarch? Hold on. They don't have numbers for this. Mana Unlimited and Tails Unlimited have not been announced. Judging on past each ability, well, true. I mean, if you're going off of like sales data, I guess, right? But I think you also have to know that Monarch is when people bought unlimited Monarch because they also were like, oh, I thought like there wasn't going to be a lot of first ed Monarch. But then there was like a bunch of sales because people were like, I'm out of here. So, but this is what I wait for. Like, as much as I want to speculate on things, like this is always what I wait for. Is I'm just like, here's the deal. This is what we're at. We're good to go. But they're gonna update us on stuff. I would imagine sometime soon. When was this? April. So maybe we get another one this April. That would be cool. Almost a year from now. Because like I'd like to know what Dusk Till Dawn numbers are at. I think that's really my thing. Is I'd like to know what Dusk Till Dawn numbers are at. Because if Dusk Till Dawn was out of print the second it was released. So whatever they made is it, right? They're not printing anymore. So if the numbers were like in the like 100,000s, if it's like 120,000 boxes or something, I still think that's like an insane value. I think those boxes are going to be huge. Part of me really does want to grab like some first ed Monarch, Aria, and Everfest before I can't anymore. Even though there's a lot of them on the market, I still want to grab them. You know what I mean? Flippers really screwed Monarch numbers. Yeah, they did. I mean, that's how it was, though. I mean, back when Monarch First Ed came out, it was like, I mean, everybody saw what print numbers were like for Alpha and for Arc First, and they were just like, this game is going to be so short printed that anything first edition is going to be money upon money upon money in the future. And then they came out with the official numbers, and they're like, yeah, we're having more people enter our game, and we want more people to get access to our game, so we increased our print run. And everybody was like, well, the game's dead. Throw everything away. And they really messed up the concept for that. So give me a second. I'm going to go use the back room. Oh, God. So cold in here. Jesus Christ. My roommate left my roommate left his window open. It's freaking super cold in this room. I was like, why is it so cold? I have the heat on. I know I do. But yeah, no. Channel Fireball definitely did a bad thing there. And then, I mean, it was just a mess, right? I mean, it's a lot of people speculating on a thing, and it wasn't like about the game at the time. But Monarch also got a lot of people into the game, so it was good. But I still want to start collecting Aria. I want to start collecting all those things. I need to make a collecting everything in, you know, X set video for some stuff, because I really do like those videos and being able to talk about them and seeing what it's like to collect it all. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Probably what I should be doing. We're over the 2-hour mark for live streaming. I think we might take off here, and I can start making some actual content for my channel as opposed to just doing the live streams on the weekends. So is it? Oh, dude, I wish. I mean, it was really, really hot yesterday. Yesterday, the day before, it was hot, but now it's freezing. So, you know, when there are clouds in the sky out here in Colorado, it's cold. But when there aren't clouds, it's very hot. 75, damn. 75. Oof, I wish. What is the weather like right now? The weather is 40 degrees. So 40 degrees here. Yeah. Yep, Texas weather will definitely be a little bit better than here. But we still get it. I mean, like I think it was like 65 or something yesterday, which was like so insane. And being on such a higher altitude as a state, we're much closer to the sun. And so like even though it says it's 65, it's really like 80 because the sun is like right there. And it's just like, hey, dude, what are you doing? So it gets incredibly hot. But it's a cloudy day today, so there's not a whole lot going on for it. So because of that, it's just February again. But still, 40 degrees here, which is probably like 25 back home, and that's that's not okay. I don't like that. Yeah, that's that son of a gun. I tell you what. I tell you what. But yeah, so I kind of want to talk about that. I of course did also want to chit chat just a little bit about the social play stuff. I found out really quickly that after looking at the Brevant retailer stuff, by the way, this is kind of cool that this is coming out, that social play events are only UPF. And I thought for sure that you could play other things, that you could play things like Blitz Pre-Constructed or Commoner, things like that. But apparently you can't. How to run social play events. Schedule events using the social play tournament type and gem, and format should be Ultimate Pit Fight. So you have to play UPF in order for you to do this. So UPF for it, yeah. I wish, I mean, as much as I'm not like a huge fan of UPF, I do wish that some place out here was running these, because like these promos are just so nice. But yeah, stores may choose to run a more structured Ultimate Pit Fight event if they so choose. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do. Yeah, you have to buy. Where the hell is it? I saw it here. I think it's on this one. You need to buy. Yeah, offered to eligible stores by LSS and distributors based on organized play. Brevant eligible stores must also purchase a case of Round the Table to be shipped together with the kit. But I think the thing that just irks me is like, it is UPF only. And I feel like while that's super cool and they want to really push UPF. Yeah, 6. 6 in a case. So, which isn't terrible. I need to buy myself Around the Table because I need those cards from Ira and all that. How much is Around the Table? Around the Table. They're like $50 or something right now, right? $56. What an absolutely insane amount of value for $56. What? It's like $60. $60 after tax? Yeah. I mean, that's a smart move. Because you figure what? Like the steps, $22. 2 thorns, $18. Like everything else is a little bit less, but you still have cold foil or rainbow foil heroes, cold foil weapons. It's pretty cool. But like even if you just get the decks alone, I mean, what? $30, $35, $20, $20. So 40, 60, 5. That's $105 in value for like $60. Pretty worth. I gotta say, it's pretty worth. I think it's worth buying too. I like the product a lot. It might be something that I do just to like kind of get people to try out UPF. But it's very interesting. I like it a lot. So family, nice. There you go. I think it's a good thing to play with your family. I like, and that's the thing though, right? Like melody sing along. The fact that the promo card, like I almost just want to buy the promo card. Because like I know nowhere around me is ever gonna run this. But $65 for this? Like nobody's even gonna be getting these. And like if Melody ends up becoming like, let's assume Melody becomes an absolutely insane hero to play in Blitz. Like $65 isn't terrible for the cold foil. But then you also have to get the other ones, right? You have to get the songs. Song of the Wandering Mind, which you can't find. Song of Sweet Nectar, $50. Yesteryears, Rose and Matador, $20 for the Jack Be Quick. $20 for the Song of the Shining Knight. So it's crazy. They're all incredibly hard to find, and it's just gonna get harder. And like with the Brevant stuff, it's gonna be even harder too. I mean, you have in here there's Rainbow Foil Civic Steps. Rainbow Foil Civic Steps. Are people going to go to these to do that? Probably not, because nobody wants to play UPF apparently. But like, it is super cool. And Rainbow Foil Civic Steps is going to be like incredibly hard to do. Like, it's going to be hard to get, and especially if you do get one, like, it is going to be really rough. Cold Foil Ira? I don't think there's going to be a Cold Foil Ira. I don't think they'd go that far. That would be really cool, but I think they already have her in cold. I think she already comes in cold foil. Yeah. Is it this one? Yeah, because if she already came in cold foil, they won't remake it. I mean, it's the same. It's the same reason why Edge of Autumn didn't get a cold foil print in TCC. Yeah. No, I don't think they will either. But like this stuff in rainbow foil is pretty cool. Cold foil Brevant going to be pretty cool. That these mats are even really cool too. Like, I don't know. I think it'll be. I wish I could do something like this online. Like, I wish I could do like a UPF thing, or like a, maybe not UPF, but I wish I could make it any format. Instead, they have to be UPF. Only Cold Foil's boxes are not reprinted. Ah, okay. That's their thing. I couldn't remember. But I think there's just like there's such a concept for this, and I really, really want this to grow, but like nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing social events, and I'm upset about it. But yeah, so that's my gripe. It's my gripe. But anywho, I think I'm probably gonna head offline so I can actually make some videos, actually get some stuff done here. And then we're probably going to go ahead and just do. We're just gonna get all that stuff done and taken care of. Make some commoner clash videos. Talk about bulk builds, and then what else? I think that's it. So hopefully I'll get a video out now to you guys, and then we will talk a little bit more later. Tomorrow, I might stream tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure yet. Just because I do technically have the day off, but I'll probably be sleeping for a good portion of it. So I will. I think it'll be a good thing. I like the concept of comparing Commoner versus Clash builds. Kind of showing off kind of where the upgrades are, if there are any, and kind of show that off. So that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll do like one a week of just choosing a hero and then seeing where those upgrades are. So I'll probably touch on the heavy hitters heroes first, and then work on other stuff from there. So maybe I'll try to do 2 a week, hopefully, if I can make that happen. But yeah. So that is it for me right now. So thanks guys so much for hanging out. I do appreciate your company while I'm making these videos. I'm also going to be spending most of my day making these bulk builds. So if you guys are going to enjoy that, I'll have a video talking about all 6 of my bulk builds for heavy hitters and what I'm planning to do and how they can also make them. So yeah, that's it, I think. So thanks guys. I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys have been watching this whole VOD the whole way through, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. If you guys want, there is a channel membership for this channel that I do have set up. Pretty much it's just a way to get special videos out to you guys. I do have I make separate videos for my channel members as well. I've only made one so far, so I'm going to make another one probably later today also. And if you want to support the channel that way, that would be super awesome. If not, no worries. I totally get it. You guys just being here helps a lot. So take care, playtime, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure to enjoy your weekend. And if I don't see you tomorrow, and I might see you tomorrow, so we'll see. But anyway, guys, take care and nerd out.